Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are heading somewhere truly extraordinary, a place really wrapped in mystery and, well, immense spiritual power, Mount Kailash. This isn't just geography we're talking about. It's more like a cosmic pillar, a living enigma. We're drawing on some fantastic sources today, including insights akin to those in works like Kailash, Shiva, Yogis, and the Path to Transcendence. Our goal here is to give you a kind of shortcut, distilling the most vital insights, those surprising facts, and the real aha moments that make this topic click. So let's start with Kailash itself. Geographically, it's way out there, 6,638 meters high in the Ngari prefecture of Tibet. Super remote, part of the Trans-Himalayan range. But what immediately grabs you isn't its height. I mean, it's tall, but not the tallest peak around. It's spiritual stature that's unparalleled. It just has this incredible presence.
Right, and physically it's quite striking. People describe it as this stark black pyramid shape, almost perfectly symmetrical. There's this magnetism people report feeling. But beyond the rocks and snow, it's seen as the navel of the world, the axis mundi.
Axis mundi.
Yeah, it's a concept you find in lots of cultures, this idea of a cosmic center point linking the heavens, the earth, and, well, sometimes the underworld too. Ancient texts, the Vedas, Puranas, Tantras, they actually refer to it as Meru. That's the mythical mountain sort of holding the universe together.
Wow, so it's not just one tradition holding it sacred then?
Oh, not at all. That's what's so unique. It's sacred to 4 major religions, which is incredibly rare for a single site.
4. Okay, lay them out for us.
Well, for Hindus, it's the ultimate abode of Lord Shiva, his home, where he sits in eternal meditation, often with Parvati. Jains call it Ashtapada. That's where their first great teacher, Rishabhanatha, is said to have attained liberation, moksha. Then for Buddhists, particularly Tibetan Buddhists, it's the home of Demchok, a powerful tantric deity representing enlightenment. And finally, for the Bon tradition, that's the indigenous spiritual path in Tibet that came before Buddhism, Kailash, is the absolute center of their spiritual universe, their source of power. That's
incredible. 4 distinct paths converging on one peak. And maybe the most mysterious thing about it, nobody's climbed it.
Right. That's right. No mountaineer has ever stood on the actual summit of Kailash.
Is that purely out of respect? I know the Chinese government banned attempts.
Well, the ban is official now, yes, out of respect for those deep spiritual beliefs. But even before the ban, the stories are legendary. Climbers getting close, then inexplicably turning back. Some reporting strange hallucinations, others facing sudden, impossible weather shifts right at the crucial moment. It's uncanny.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What kind of energy is protecting that summit? But the mountain's power isn't just about the rock itself, is it?
Yeah.
It's tied so deeply to Lord Shiva. Let's dive into that.
Absolutely. Shiva is, well, he's complex, especially for those maybe more familiar with Western ideas of divinity. He's not just a god in a simple sense. He's revered as the Adiyogi, the very first yogi, and Adiguru, the first teacher.
The first yogi.
Yes. And his nature is full of these seeming paradoxes. He embodies absolute stillness, silence, yet he's also the cosmic dancer, unleashing wild, chaotic energy. He's the destroyer, the transformer, but also the ultimate meditative ascetic, father of Tantra, but also the embodiment of pure silence.
That sounds contradictory. How do we reconcile those?
Well, the teaching isn't that they are contradictory, but that liberation involves embracing all of it, the stillness and the chaos, creation and destruction. It's about going beyond duality, you see, not resisting points of reality.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. The source material also mentions a key moment for yoga itself, right there near Kailash, involving Shiva.
Exactly, a foundational story in yogic tradition. It's said that Shiva first imparted the profound knowledge of yoga to the Saptarishis, the 7 great ancient sages.
Where did this happen?
On the banks of Lake Manasarovar, which is this incredibly sacred lake right near the base of Mount Kailash. And the story goes, he didn't just start talking, he sat in absolute silence for years, just radiating presence. Only when the sages were completely receptive, totally ripened by their own focus and yearning, did he finally transmit the knowledge.
How did he transmit it?
He poured out 112 distinct methods or ways to realize one's ultimate nature. Each technique, each insight was like a doorway to freedom, to self-realization.
112 ways. That's very specific. And Shiva had these different forms too, right? Nataraja, the dancer.
Yes, Nataraja, the lord of the dance, symbolizing the endless cosmic cycle of creation and destruction. Very powerful imagery. There's Dakshinamurti Shiva as the silent teacher, often shown under a banyan tree, imparting wisdom without words, and Bhuteshwar, lord of the elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space, master of the fundamental building blocks of existence.
What really struck me, though, was the idea that Shiva doesn't represent our usual human morals. He's described as being beyond good and evil. That's challenging.
It is challenging to our conventional thinking, absolutely. But it points towards transcendence. Shiva represents the ultimate reality, the source from which everything arises, including our concepts of good and evil. So he can't be bound by them. This is a core idea, for instance, in Tantra and for groups like the Aghoris we might talk about later. It forces us to ask, what if divinity encompasses everything without judgment? The pleasant, the unpleasant, the light, the dark.
It shifts the whole framework. So if Shiva is the ultimate yogi, the source, how does this connect to the people who follow that path, the yogis themselves? What's their journey about?
Well, fundamentally, a yogi is seeking union. That's the root meaning of the word yoga, to yoke, to unite. Union with the divine, with ultimate reality. And crucially, it's not about blind faith. It's about direct personal experience achieved through dedicated interdiscipline practice.
So when they go to Kailash, it's more than just a trip.
Oh, much more. It's a pilgrimage, yes, but it's also symbolic. They go there to try and mirror the qualities of the mountain within themselves, to cultivate that same profound stillness, that unshakable groundedness that silence Kailash embodies.
And that often involves the Kailash parikrama, right? Walking around the entire base.
Yes, the Kora or parikrama. It's a 52-kilometer trek, incredibly arduous. High altitude, harsh weather, rough terrain.
And some do it barefoot.
Yes, many do it with extreme devotion, sometimes barefoot, enduring immense hardship. Hindus and Buddhists walk clockwise, while followers of Bon go anti-clockwise. The belief is incredibly powerful that completing even one circuit can purify lifetimes of negative karma.
Wow. That's a huge motivation.
It is. But, the deeper insight, the path of the inner yogi, goes beyond the physical walk. The saying goes, real yogis don't just walk around Kailash, they seek to become Kailash.
Become Kailash. What does that mean in practice?
It means cultivating an inner state that's as unwavering as the mountain itself. Standing firm and centered within yourself, no matter what storms life throws at you. Untouched, in a way, by the constant flux of pleasure and pain, praise and blame. It's about finding that deep inner stability.
So that's the internal discipline, meditation, breath work.
Exactly. Deep meditation, specific breathing techniques or pranayama, intense self-inquiry, all aimed at observing the mind, detaching from its chatter, and settling into that profound inner silence, that Kailash-like stillness.
Okay, so that's the path of the yogi seeking stillness and union. But Shiva's influence also extends to, well, a much more extreme group, doesn't it? The Aghoris. They often provoke some pretty strong reactions.
They certainly do. The Aghoris are quite radical ascetics. They follow a path of extreme non-duality. Their fundamental principle is that Shiva, the ultimate reality, is present in everything, absolutely everything. There's no separation.
Everything, including things society considers impure or taboo.
Precisely. So they deliberately embrace what society rejects. They often live in smashan cremation grounds, meditating there, surrounded by death and decay, bodies smeared with human ash.
Cremation grounds, meditating on corpses. That's hard for many people to even imagine. What's the philosophy behind such shocking practices?
It's about directly confronting and transcending duality. For an Aghori, there is no truly pure or impure. Those are just mental constructs, limitations of the ego. Every experience, even the most disturbing by conventional standards, is seen as an opportunity to break through those limitations and realize, Shivaham, I am Shiva, I am that ultimate reality.
So the extreme practices, they aren't for shock value then?
Not primarily. They are a very direct, very visceral spiritual technology, if you will, a rebellion against the ego's conditioning, against fear, against attachment to social norms. By embracing the taboo, meditating on corpses, sometimes consuming substances others would find repellent, breaking rules around ritual purity, they're trying to shatter the illusion of separation and directly experience the underlying oneness of everything.
It's a complete defiance of the mind's usual category.
Yes. And they often worship Shiva in his most fearsome form, Bhairava. This terrifying aspect represents the raw, untamed power that destroys limitations, that transforms. For the Aghori, fear itself is the biggest obstacle, so they deliberately confront the ultimate fears: death, decay, impurity, believing that you must burn through fear to attain true freedom.
Wow. Okay, so we have Kailash, this silent, unmoving center. We have Shiva, the source, the teacher, both still and chaotic. We have the yogis seeking inner stillness, mirroring the mountain, and the Aghoris seeking dissolution through intensity. How do these all fit together?
Well, you can see them as different facets of a single sacred reality, a kind of spiritual ecosystem. Mount Kailash is like the ultimate destination, the representation of that perfect, unwavering stillness, the goal state. Shiva is both the goal and the path. He's the teacher, the teaching itself, and the reality you're trying to realize. The yogis take a path often emphasizing discipline, gradual refinement, surrender, harmonizing their inner energy with the cosmic energy Kailash represents. And the Aghoris, they take a path of, let's say, fierce intensity, direct confrontation, dissolving the ego by plunging right into the taboos, the fears, to touch the formless reality Shiva embodies.
It's fascinating, though, how these paths, which look so incredibly different on the surface,
Right, one seems about quiet discipline, the other about radical confrontation.
they seem to be aiming at a similar place, transcendence of the limited self.
Exactly, they converge on that ultimate realization of non-duality, of oneness with the divine, with Shiva.
A really powerful tapestry of spiritual seeking, all revolving around Kailash and Shiva.
And, perhaps the most crucial takeaway from all of this, the most practical insight, is that you don't actually need to make the difficult physical journey to Tibet to access the essence of Kailash.
You don't need to go there physically.
No, the real teaching is that you can cultivate and carry Kailash within you, right here, right now.
That's a beautiful idea. How does someone actually do that in the middle of, everyday life?
It comes back to those core principles, learning to cultivate moments of absolute stillness within yourself, finding that inner quiet point even amidst noise and activity. It's about striving to embrace the totality of your experience, the good and the bad, without judgment, just like Shiva represents that all-encompassing reality. And walking your own inner path, whether it leans towards stillness or intensity, with courage and commitment.
Are there specific practices mentioned in the sources?
Yes, simple but profound things. Meditating, perhaps focusing on the image or feeling of Shiva. Chanting mantras associated with him, like the powerful Om Namah Shivaya, or even just the simple act of sitting quietly and observing your breath, paying attention to that fundamental rhythm of life. Each conscious breath, each moment of stillness, is like taking a step on that inner pilgrimage towards your own internal Kailash.
Cultivating your inner mountain. I like that. It leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? As we wrap up this deep dive, maybe the question for you, the listener, is what aspect of this idea of transcendence really speaks to you? Is it the stillness of the yogi, the fierce intensity of the Aghoris, or something else? And perhaps more importantly, how could you start, even in a small way, to cultivate your own sense of inner Kailash, that stillness or that intensity in your daily life? Something to mull over.
Om Namah Shivaya.